you know, subscribing to is Barbie movie came out in mass so everybody could watch it. And I'm so curious, did you guys all love the Barbie movie? I wasn't wowed. I wasn't wowed. Now, I am taking Deborah Silverman's astrology course, astrology level 1. I don't even know why. Deborah came on my podcast and I was so enamored by her because I heard her on my friend Lauren's show, Unleash Your Inner Creative. And I thought I need to have Deborah on. Like, there's just something amazing. And to me, unlike I'm done with psychics. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, who's the most famous psychic now? I don't even know. Like, who was that guy that was on Oprah forever? Something Edwards. Bored. I would never give a nickel to a psychic ever again. Like, if I'm at an event and they've hired a psychic and it's a free reading, sure, why not? But again, if your destiny is written, why doesn't every psychic have the same outline for you? And then the psychics will always say, wow, this reading is just based on your energy and things that are happening like right now in the universe, but things could change and then things can change again based on your decisions. Okay, so then this is like nothing, or this has nothing to do with anything. You just have a hunch. But Deborah and astrology kind of fascinated me because, I mean, there is a sort of picture of what the stars were the day and time that you were born. And is that a guide, if you will, to some extent, to your personality and interacting with other certain personalities? I find it really interesting. I just learned how to read my own birth chart. I'm learning about the elements. I'm learning about what it means when your like sign is in rising, like what that means for your personality. So I'm a little sucked in. Like I'm doing this level 1 course. I found out that I'm outside the box and I'm sort of like, I don't want to do what everybody else does or says. So therefore I'm like, do I not like the Barbie movie? Or am I just not liking it because it's like the number 1 grossing film? It's in the top 5, I think, now of all time. Biggest grossing film for a female director ever. So I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this is I didn't really like it, but I think that might be just my sign, you know? Like, I think that's just like my astrological sign. I don't know. I mean, I think everybody's seen Barbie now at this point. You know, it's made well over $1 billion. But the Barbie movie is essentially, of course, about Barbie. And I'd heard that there was this real feminist angle to it, which there is. And I've read a lot about like breaking down that message. So let me start with what I loved and appreciated. And then I'll tell you why I'm just like, I'm not on the Barbie train. And by the way, I was obsessed with Barbies. I played with Barbies until I was in 7th grade. My cousin Leah and I would play with Barbies and we would like we would tell our moms like to tell our friends that we were out drinking or whatever. So we seemed cool, but we played with Barbies forever. We loved Barbies. So I had weird Barbie. I mean, my brother Seth would like cut off all their hair and then blowtorch them and shave off their boobs. I mean, there was like, don't worry, we had weird Barbie. We at one point had a Barbie body, and then we took the Strawberry Patch Girls, like or Strawberry Patch Dolls. We took like the evil strawberry shortcake. That was it. Thank you. Strawberry shortcake characters. We took the evil strawberry shortcake like witch. We put her face like on a Barbie body, and she was like evil Barbie. We had a lot of variations. We had a throwback old Ken from like the 60s that we like, I think my Aunt Linda was trying to sell in her doll shop and we like mutilated that. I mean, we really had the Barbie collection. All right. The movie, I think, although a lot of the critique that people didn't like was the way that it was shot and the set. The set is very like plasticky and California glam and pastel-y color, everything that Barbie is, right? I loved the set. I thought they killed it with the set, the way the beach was, the way the props were, bringing like obviously humans that were playing Barbie and Ken into like this plastic world. I hope they're nominated for an Oscar. I loved the set design. I loved the costume design. It was so, I mean, Margot Robbie is, oh my God, am I saying her name right? I always say Margot, but somebody told me that's not right. Margot Robbie. Like perfect Barbie, oh my God, stunning Barbie. Ken, oh, amazing. Okay. Like Ryan Gosling, like so funny. I thought the jokes were good too. A lot of people thought the jokes like were shitty. A lot of people thought the jokes were shitty, and a lot of people thought the set was like almost, seizure inducing. Like when they say, "Oh, be forewarned that you could have a seizure watching this." Like a lot of people felt like that the set was like that. I happen to like the set. I thought the set was great. I thought it was great. I did not, to be honest with you, I kind of felt it was boring after a while. The jokes were great. Ryan Gosling really makes Ken with the dancing. And, at one point, the whole movie starts out there in Barbie land and everybody's happy in Barbie land. And I loved how they kept, obviously when you play with Barbie, she's like more giant than the car and the airplane and the house. And they basically sized the characters, Ryan Gosling's character and Barbie, Margot Robbie's character, basically that same way, where they seemed bigger than the car and the house. It was great. Like the details were so good. But I just got bored. I mean, the whole message is like, obviously these Barbies are really happy being in their plasticky world where, they're all kinds of different ones, but, every day is great. And you just put your shoes on and your perfect little outfit and you get up and you don't really have a lot of thoughts. And then, of course, Barbie is thrust into the real world because an adult who used to play with Barbies when she was a kid, i.e. like basically me, America Ferrera's character, is like all of us, right? That used to play with Barbies when they were little. And she's sort of dealing with this job that she's unhappy with. She works at Mattel. Mattel was behind this movie too. And, and it's like her own struggles with being a woman, right? You can never be that women. Apparently we have so many societal pressures still that you just can't be perfect. You can't be a good enough mom. You can't be good enough at work. You can't do both of those simultaneously. And then trying to be a good wife, and then, so anyhow, it's sort of, then the guys take over, Ken takes over, and it's like living in this patriarchal world that we're in. And the patriarchy and the bros, like, have the male gaze and all this stuff. And then, of course, at the end, it's like this beautiful, touching thing where Barbie realizes that what Barbie's meaning is that Barbie can be anything she wants, right? And that women can achieve anything. They can be female presidents, which is Issa Rae in the film. And they get back to like a new kind of Barbie land. And the original woman who started Mattel really empowers Barbie and touches her and just lets her know that, it's going to be okay. And you look inside yourself and, I don't know. I feel like are women equal everywhere? No, which is why I'm sure a big part of Mattel's message and Barbie, because now girls all over the world still play with Barbie, right? And we know that women aren't treated equally everywhere, but we've come a long way. We've come a long way. I mean, I'm sure you guys know, I'm sure many of you listening to this make a lot more than your husbands. I mean, we are living in this greatest era. And in a way too, I think I was almost annoyed that Barbie has taken on this whole other bigger connotation of like meaning of, well, Barbie can be anything. And then we have like kind of pluser size Barbie, which I didn't even know actually existed, but they really did make that doll. I didn't know that they made a sugar daddy Barbie. Oh, it was supposed to be Sugar's daddy. And it was like a little dog and it had like a daddy. But of course, the double entendre, which by the way, came out, that Sugar's daddy doll came out in 2011. Not that long ago. Like, I enjoy all of Mattel's failures. I just think at the end of the day, the woman that created her was a California gal who, was bored with the old fashioned Barbies that or old fashioned dolls that our mothers played for, the baby dolls, and really kind of wanted to do this fantasy doll that had never been done before. Can't things be just as simple as fucking that? I mean, that really, but over the years, it's taken on all these things. Barbie's unrealistic body type, and nobody has feet like that, and nobody has a tiny waist. And what projection is this giving little girls that play with it? And by the way, not every little girl played with Barbies. I know my niece never was into Barbies. I know so many women that were never into Barbies as kids, but it's taken on this whole other thing. And even I kind of thought Will Ferrell's character, because Will Ferrell and his minions, all these guys, are on the board at Barbie, and they're kind of making fun of that. And I'm sure that's true. I'm sure there's a lot of men at Mattel on the board, which is what it's it's implying, and in other, we know this, and tons of other companies that are making decisions about women's products and little girls. And it's like, why are men making those decisions? And I think that's valid. I mean, I worked in radio for years, and it was really frustrating to sit in a meeting with a guy that was in his 60s, headed to 70s, trying to tell women 30 years old what they want to hear on the radio. It is very frustrating because, you try to respect them, but you're also like, oh, you're so outdated with it. But they also do have experience. It's just this really hard thing. But I even found Will Ferrell, because at the end, they proposed like an average Barbie that like doesn't, kind of have all these like Barbie-like things. And at first, like Will Ferrell's character is saying no, but then he realizes he can make money. I almost felt like it was patronizing, kind of like, we're going to let women think that they're in charge, but they're really not, which is another layer probably to this film. I felt like some things don't have to be all that deep. And to me, Barbie was really fun to like cut her hair off and burn her, and like, because it was a doll, like it was a doll, and like slingshot at her and make Barbie porns. I mean, it really, I don't know. It was all right. And then a lot of people, I read some interesting articles where people had a real issue with Barbie. Like if the whole idea for women is to be equal, at one point in the film, it's really just make it not one point, many points of the film. It's really just women having a laugh at men and Ken and how dumb Ken is. And useless Ken is. And so a lot of people felt like that's not really equality. Now we don't want a patriarchy. We want a matriarchy, which I do have to say, it felt a little more like that than it did, 9 to 5, the famous movie with like Dolly Parton, where like women kind of have the last laugh, and really reveal sexism. I don't know. I didn't think it was as amazing as everyone said. It certainly had funny moments. I thought the characters and the actors and actresses really made it. I mean, Weird Barbie was funny, but I didn't think it was like so good. Like everyone was like, "Oh my God, Weird Barbie, best. Like it's the best." I don't know. I didn't love it. But you know what? It was funny because Schman, he ended up liking it more than I did. So there you go. The other thing that I'm watching, it's been out since February, but I just started this really fascinating drug, American Pain. It is out if you want to watch it. So good. I mean, terrifying, but it's about these two spoiled brat kids in Florida that end up creating a pill mill. And then all the other sort of under people, Chris and Jeff George, complete spoiled brats. They get a lot of access though to the family. And you realize, I think, okay, you talk about level of depth. Barbie was Barbie, right? But I think what's so genius about American Pain is they expose exactly why these two twins end up becoming these drug lords and are just like, have no care for people's lives. They get people addicted to Roxycontins. And they lie about it and everything. It's so good. And then at the end, they actually interview one of the twins. And I won't spoil it for you because it was a documentary that I don't feel like got a lot of attention. But at the end, they actually interview one of the twins who still has no remorse, but actually makes a really good point about what we're doing with fentanyl now. Okay, I just realized too, by the way, you're listening to hear my hot take. So I don't know why I said to you I wasn't going to tell you. Meanwhile, I spoil everything else, like Barbie movie, every Sister Wives episode. Anyway, you see exactly why these two became drug pin, and by the way, they killed they killed directly by giving these people and keeping people addicted to these pills. Thousands of people died. They do a breakdown of who died, and one of these twins is actually out of jail. So how the fuck? I have no idea why the system is our justice system is maddening. These two should be in jail for life, and one of them is out. One of them is fucking out, and they passively murdered so many people and no remorse. But what I like about it is there's layers to it. They interviewed the dad, and you just see by the dad's attitude and what he's like how they created these kids. But it's interesting because it's like the dad doesn't even really take any accountability. Like he sort of does at the end. He's like, maybe they were just spoiled brats. And it's like, yeah, fucker. Yeah, they were. But how everybody else around them, like no morals, no accountability, which is the saddest part, I think, is just how blinded people become with money in our society. I loved it. I thought it showed American pain. It talked about family dynamics, what happens when your kids are spoiled fucking brats, greed in this country, addiction in this country, and the saddest parts of addiction. They show these families that from West Virginia that were driving down there to these pill mills and then reselling the pills and what it happened to their family. It's like the most depressing thing, but it's maddening. And then at the end, one of the twins comes on and goes, look, we actually hired legitimate doctors, which was true. They did in these pill mills. People had to come in, they had to get an MRI, they had to prove they had some sort of pain thing, which of course is like bullshit because they would approve everybody, but a couple of the doctors had some certain standards and things. I use standards loosely. And then they were given Roxycontins for their pain, right? And of course they're addicted, they keep coming. But then at the end, he's like, look, we kept track of every single person. These people were going to get prescriptions, whether they came to us or they continued on to different doctors. They were going to do it anyway. And we knew exactly, we were given from the pharmaceutical companies, the drugs. So we were at the time sort of legally selling the drugs and we knew what was in the drugs. And he goes, now people are dying at an even faster rate from fentanyl. They're trying to get other drugs and things to numb their pain. And now we don't know what they are or what's in them. And more people are dying than ever. So maybe I should have kept my pill mill. He didn't say that, but he's implying it. I was like, isn't that the fucking weirdest thing? I hate this kid. And yet he has a good point. Anyway, American Pain, another one put on your list. Oh, so much good TV to watch. I'll tell you what, so much good TV. All right. Tomorrow, brand new TLC talk. We've got a lot of Welcome to Plathville to chat about. Yesterday, I had on Lisa Baby Girl from 90 Day Fiancé. People have a lot to say about that interview, too. A lot to say. People feel like Lisa didn't take accountability for the way she treated Usman. She won't let it go. Other people feel like they like hearing Lisa's side of it and, how Lisa claims a lot of 90 Day Fiancé is staged. So go and listen. And thank you for subscribing to the Sarah Fraser Show. All right. Bye, everybody.